Yeah, so happy to start a conversation with the artist Amitabh Sengupta. I have next to me Romain, son of Rathin Maitra. And just an informal chat.
Who is asking?
I am Indrajit Chatterjee of Prinseps. We are an art research platform and we've been doing quite a bit of work into looking into the history of art from 1920 to 1970. That's our kind of our focus period. And we find that a lot of art history when it comes to the Art Rebel Center, Calcutta Group, especially, so both of these, interestingly enough, are the Calcutta artists. Shantiniketan is reasonably well documented, Jamini Roy is reasonably well documented, Rabindranath Tagore is reasonably well documented. But for some reason, what I call the Calcutta artists, this movement is somewhat less documented, we feel, and we're trying to look back into history and trace the roots of modernism in India and how art movements in India have shaped themselves. And so that's why we are here, trying to get an idea, because I believe you were a student of one of the people, of course, we're focusing on right now is Rathin Maitra. I keep saying this every time, not to be confused with Rathin Mitra.
No, he's from the Doon School.
Doon School, that's right. And interestingly, both were members of the Calcutta Group, but not simultaneously.
He was there for some time.
Right. So interestingly, both are members of the Calcutta Group. So Rathin Maitra and Rathin Mitra were both there. So we worked very hard, even in Wikipedia, to add a disambiguation, saying that the two artists are different. In fact, it gets so confusing that Rabindranath Tagore used to also sign as Rathin. Roti. And then Rathin Maitra has signed as Roti, and then Rathin Mitra has signed as Rathin Maitra. So that gets very confusing. So anyway, to digress a little bit, Romain had once mentioned to me that there's a prize in the Government Art College to a graduating student in the name of his father, Rathin Maitra, which even the Government College of Art had mistakenly put Rathin Mitra for a good number of years, till it was pointed out to them.
And that award doesn't exist for the last few years now.
The award doesn't exist for the last few years.
This was, I think, the highest award in the Department of Painting section.
Right.
It used to be, but that's a matter of the past. But anyway, let's
We're
get
here
down
to talk about your experiences, especially when it comes
Can we
to
have the paper?
Rathin Maitra, and try and document a lot of history of that period, and just chit-chat, informal chit-chat. That's pretty much it.
What I was planning to ask you is your entire kind of getting back to the time past and see your entire recollection of your government of college years and the way you got to know Rathin Maitra, the person, the teacher, and his art. If you just get into this recollection mode and see how you want to recollect your years in the Government Art College with special reference to Rathin Maitra, his classes, or whatever you wish to say about him.
See, I have.
To the camera.
I have.
It's
I
fine.
see it through some phases as student, and years later when I came back to India.
From Nigeria.
And started studying this art scene in India. So these are two different periods. Now what I saw Rathin Maitra as my teacher, and then later when I was studying the art scenario of Calcutta Group, many of my earlier ideas got mixed up. evolved rather, because as a student I didn't know much about Rathin Maitra's personal background. I knew about the Calcutta Group, we heard about it, but that time it was not there anymore.
Which year are you talking
I
about?
mean, I'm talking about 59 to 63.
Yeah, 53 they disbanded.
And that time the Calcutta Group dispersed. Pradosh Dasgupta went to Delhi. He was the director of Modern Art Gallery.
You were 2 years old when Calcutta Group came into being, actually. You were 2 years old, little boy, baby.
Born which year?
41.
41.
So it was in 43. Yeah.
And this is one aspect, that when I was seeing Rathin Maitra, the teacher in the second year, and he was teaching us Greek antique figures, very interesting. And I had a feeling that he didn't have much respect on that, what he was teaching, copying the Greek figures, because it's a continuation of old European school, because till then my department was Western art. Painting was called Department of Western Art. But we were in the second year, the preparatory years, first year, second year, and from third year it was specialized groups. Now, but we knew Rathin Maitra belonged to the the modern group of Calcutta painters, and ex-member of Calcutta Group and all that. And we used to see his works during the Academy of Fine Arts annual show. That was the period we used to see works of many stalwarts from all over India. But then,
If you also just mention the year more or less as you speak along.
during this whole period, 59 to 63, because in 59, the first annual show of Academy Arts was at the museum corridor, because the Academy house was not built that time.
That's something we've discussed. In fact, you remember I sent you the photograph,
Yeah.
and you said that this is probably shot at the hallways of the museum.
And it was in the museum and museum corridor, and it used to be excellent show. But unfortunately, there were not many large size paintings, mostly medium size, because it's the corridor wall. And so that was the period we used to see the works of Rathin Maitra, Gopal Ghosh, and these are the two ex-members of Calcutta Group. And Govardhan Ash, sometimes, not every year. And frankly, I didn't notice his name until I came across in the books and all that. And then who else was? Kamala Rai Chaudhary was there, but Kamala Rai Chaudhary, it's a confusion whether she was with the Calcutta Group or she initiated the Society of Contemporary Artists.
You talk about Kamala Dasgupta, Commissioner's wife.
No.
So Kamala Rai Chaudhary is not mentioned as being part of the Calcutta.
Kamala Rai Chaudhary left India in the 50s, late 50s or mid 50s to England and settled in London. And she was not mentioned in any of the books or any information. She just vanished. But Kamala Rai Chaudhary, I'm forgetting some of the names. This Sunil Jana's wife. No, this lady, Karuna Shah, and all these. Shambhu Shah's wife, yes. Karuna Shah and all these, they were very close friends in Calcutta.
Shanu Lahiri.
Shanu Lahiri. They were all Shanu Lahiri. She was the sister of Nirod Majumdar.
Shanu Lahiri was my father's student.
Was she student?
Yes.
Don't tell me.
Yes.
Because they were all very friendly.
No,
Friends.
what I'm saying is no,
okay.
but she was student when she taught at, she was in my father's class.
Mind it, this class sometimes we get confused because there are different kind of classes.
But I've seen group shows.
No,
of that
I'm
class.
telling you, during the early period, there was one part was the diploma course, Calcutta School of Arts. Okay. Then simultaneously, this group of young artists, male, female, Rathin Maitra, Makhon Dattagupta, all these Karuna Shah and all these, they were, Kamala Raichuri was there, and there was another Raichuri, the gentleman who went to Italy, I'm forgetting who went to Delhi to join the Delhi College of Art. So they were having a sketch club in the museum, and that was a typical class. And later this was closed, and that gentleman, what's his name, that Metropolitan building, there he started a studio. He called it Studio, and there this group shifted, but not Rathin Maitra or Makhon Dattagupta, but the younger group shifted.
They created a painters group, Calcutta Painters Group also. There was a group.
Yes, that is contemporary to Society of Contemporary Arts.
Okay, but we are going somewhere else now.
It's
Let's
a,
concentrate
it's
on.
a, there is a gap of.
No, they are very
No,
junior.
I can speak. Yeah.
They are much later period. Now, this group, Calcutta Group, what we call officially, is those who had a joint show, few shows in Calcutta and Bombay. Now, and they initiated, the initial group were Rathin Maitra was the secretary, Pradosh Dasgupta, Nirod Majumdar, Gopal Ghosh,
Shubha Tagore,
Shubha Tagore was another important initiator.
who disappeared in thin air afterwards. I don't know what happened to
no,
his
he-
artistic life. Then.
No, he was not a regular painter as such, but he was kind of activist, and he
Writer.
created journals called Sundaram. And that was the,
Otikroma was
Sundaram was the first art journal in India, and it was coming up very nice, but suddenly he disappeared. Now anyway, Shubha Tagore was.
Did you hear about Otikroma?
No. The point is, when Nirod Majumdar, Pradosh Dasgupta, and all these, they came back from Paris, they were hanging
Gupta
around.
also from Paris?
Yes. Pradosh Dasgupta probably
No,
went
I don't
to,
think so. He was
in-
basically UK.
UK. He was in UK. Anyway, when they came back from Europe, they were just hanging around, and they had their own individual workplace. They called it studio. And Chintamani Kaur also came back from England at that period. He was in Calcutta, and he helped Pradosh Dasgupta to start have a studio space somewhere. And atelier, Pradosh Dasgupta called it atelier. And now, once
What was the connection between Chintamani Kaur and Pradosh?
not much.
Not much.
It's just that one,
Not much.
both were in the faculty of sculpture, and Pradosh preceded Chintamani Kaur by age and by seniority. That's about.
And before Chintamani Kaur, this when I was talking about, Chintamani Kaur hasn't joined the art college.
Exactly.
It's much before. Then again he went back to England, then came back later. Now they were having some adda, sometimes at Shubha Thakur's place, sometimes here and there, I don't know. There were another person who was very much patronizing them. He was not an artist, but art lover, and he was an aristocrat in Calcutta. And he was also inviting them, and in fact, the first show of these people was held in his house.
It's one is Souza, what you're saying.
So are you talking about Jain Majumdar? One Chorongi Terrace.
Probably. Chorongi Terrace.
That is
And-
Jain
and-
Majumdar.
And what about the Pradut
Kumar Tagore, yes.
Tagore? There was another Kanishir, and he was also.
He preceded Lady Ranu Mukherjee at the Government Art College.
And
He was all in all of Academy of Fine Arts.
and all these things were going on, and but there was a period. This four group, I mean the Nirod Majumdar, Kudos Dashgupta, Gopal Ghosh, Rathin Maitra, and they decided. Shubha Thakur was always the initiator. They decided to form a group. Now, if you read some part of their first show, I mean, they had a sort of catalog or sort of folder or something. They gave a kind of memorandum of their
Which we're not able to find actually.
Where is it? Where is it?
You couldn't find? I have quoted in my book from that.
Can we take a shot right now and then we can again?
No, we'll get back to the book, but you've quoted that in your book.
Yeah. And I quoted it from another writer's quotations.
Shantu Dotto.
No, he is now in Shantiniketan Art History. I will
Sanjay
get that.
Malik.
Sanjay Malik, yes. And he quoted from the journal, but whether it's available or not, I don't know. Somewhere must be there a copy. And if you follow the ideology, that objectives, they were actually heading towards Paris movement. I will not call it Western art or European art or all these things. Because if you look at the situation towards the end of colonialism, Rathin Maitra told me when I interviewed him in his house.
When and where?
In his southern
Coronation Road?
Yes. When I came back from Nigeria.
Do you have that interview?
No, I don't have the interview.
Did you write down?
Yeah,
Where is
note
it?
it down. That is.
Did you use it?
No,
later?
that is. I used it in my book.
So the book comes twice. What else is there for the book? Yeah, you took it from Sanjay Malik. That is one
Sanjay,
thing.
that is the.
That is number one, and the interview number two.
I interviewed. So the interview was. It's like this. Because I made the appointment through Ronti
Moitra.
And so when I went there, he was very glad to see me. He recognized me immediately. And of course, the teachers used to, those days, the teachers used to keep track of their students who has gone abroad or these, that, to keep a kind of relation. So he was very happy to meet me. And then, unfortunately, suddenly there were some visitors. So the interview was cut short. But meanwhile, what I got from him, that was that during the war period, that means they were
Second World War.
Second World War. I mean, the Calcutta was center of the American-British Allied soldiers, and many of these soldiers, they were educated and art lovers, and for them, with their patronization in the Chorongi, the corridor,
They were all staying in Esplanade actually.
lot of English book shops came up, and they were bringing art books, glossy art books, and these soldiers they used to present these things to the artists, the modern poetry and all that to the poets. And there was very interesting influence through these people for the modern poets as well as for the contemporary artists. And what Rathin Maitra said, for the first time when they saw the printed works of Picasso, Dali and all those groups and all that, the whole Paris group, and they were so excited. And later, this Pradosh Dasgupta, Nirad Majumdar, when they came back from Europe, they were also excited because they saw the real works, and they decided this is a new language of art. So there was a conceptual diversion from Bengal School of Art to this Global School of Art. And they were much more excited with these possibilities of Paris School. And in many of their statements, they condemn the Bengal School, and they say that it's not enough to express the agony of time. And so Bengal School, they look at it as a sort of mellowed narrative version, vis-a-vis more vigorous, more bold, more exciting language of art in the Paris School. So out and out, they jumped into that. And if you remember, same thing was happening in few years later with the Progressive Group. They were also having the same feeling of the Paris School. They had similar interactions with the army and also in the media. Times of India had a big role in that, and some journalists and some patrons. And
so sorry to interrupt, we have researched that part quite extensively, and of course the art critic that comes into mind is Rudy Wall-Leighton.
yeah.
And he was the Times of India art critic, and in
Art Chatterjee.
art charges others as well, but Rudy Wall-Leighton in 1944-45, when the Calcutta Group did a show in Bombay, he actually wrote about it in Times of India. And Pradosh Dasgupta has actually mentioned a very interesting detail, that it was Rudy Wall-Leighton who asked Pradosh to come to Bombay with a couple of other people from the Calcutta Group, which are not named in the article, to help start the Bombay Progressives Group. Subsequent to which there was a joint show of Bombay Progressives and the Calcutta Group in Calcutta, where the catalogue is available. It's openly available, and it clearly states Calcutta Progressives introduces the Calcutta Group introduces the Bombay Progressives.
This is one version, okay? But I saw into it little differently, okay? The fact is, the activities of Progressive Calcutta Group was also inspiring the Bombay scenario. Souza and all those, they were keeping it up. But there was another route. There was a kind of, when you think about the cultural change during that period, there was a tremendous influence of socialistic ideas, communism, activism and all that. And sorry, I'm forgetting the names, and this famous writer, Mulk Rajanand, and all these. And there were some writers, Muslim writers, they were all French.
Gita writers.
Yes. And they were in...
Who did you mention?
Side Surabhi.
Yeah.
They were in London studying. They were all students. And now they saw what's happening in Europe. The Marxist ideas influencing and all those things, and there was a change, socially, I mean, mixture of ideas, the idea of democracy, idea of nationalism, and all these things were happening. And in fact, that inspired another trend to come back to India, structure the idea of nationalism, structure the idea of modern poetry.
Redefining nationalism in many ways.
There was no nationalism.
Well, I mean,
No.
Abanindranath Tagore is
No, no,
nationalism.
no, 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 no.
Bharat Mata is nationalism.
Those are much later. That was much later. It was, simultaneous. That was the Nivedita's version. She gave the title Bharat Mata, not Abanindranath, mind you. Abanindranath thought of her.
Yeah, but Nandalal Bose had its streak of nationalism too.
No.
With his association with Mahatma
Those
Gandhi.
are stamps given to them. Those are the stamps given to them, like the Impressionist group. Artists didn't call themselves Impressionists. It's the art critic, the writers, and all those
No, but
things.
when you paint for Haripura Congress posters,
Yeah.
what would you call that? Won't you call that a nationalistic streak? What else is there? When you are doing your painting for
no.
the Indian Constitution, that is Nandalal Bose once again, what is there but nationalism?
No, listen. Nandalal Bose were inspired by Abanindranath's idea of Bengal language of art. That was also contribution of what's his principle? Havel. Because this Abanindranath's language, look at it, it was not created only by Abanindranath. Havel brought the Rajasthani school of paintings, all those miniatures and all that, and inspired Abanindranath and asked him, create a local language, create an Indian language. And now the dialogue between Havel...
What was Abanindranath painting before this? What was his style?
It started with academic painting.
Academic painting.
There
Portraits,
are portraits.
landscapes and all
Very
that.
few of them are there, but they are there.
Yeah, but one doesn't get to see them. Very
It's
unfortunate.
documented in the Singapore
It's there, it's there.
In the Victoria Memorial, perhaps.
No, those things we used to see in the Pravasi Modern Review
Right.
and all that at one stage. Now, this creation, it started when Abanindranath was in the so-called teacher in the government school of art, when Havel brought him. And Abanindranath didn't know how to teach art anyway. But between them, there was an inspiring dialogue, and Abanindranath started creating the language, and he didn't call it Bengal School of Art. It was Nivedita, Havel, all those things, people. Later, Swami, what's his
Anand
name?
Kumar
Anand
Swami.
Kumar Swami, he came. All these things, they created language. Abanindranath left, and he started that Oriental school in Calcutta, where Abanindranath was also teaching and all that. Anyway, now
When was this Oriental school started?
that was in late 40s, probably. Oriental school. It's still there.
Yeah, Park Street.
Because when you say Oriental school, I find that synonymous with a bunch of paintings that were probably what we call look east. A lot of the Japanese and the Chinese
Yeah.
have this yin and yang,
That's
and
right.
like two ducks and
That's
two
right.
birds and stuff like that. So we see a certain amount of these look east paintings coming. Very rare to get a hold of them, but they were probably late 30s.
I'm coming to the point. After Abanindranath left art school, he was bored. Okay. Now, meanwhile, Tagore, Okakura came to Calcutta. A lot of other Chinese, Japanese scholars came, and they were kind of Orientalist group ideas creating. Now this wave touched Tagore, and in his house, the environment was to look into folk art, Chinese art, Japanese art, and all that. And this sort of ideas materialized in the Oriental school. In fact, Rabindranath insisted that we should study all those things and create a kind of, and Abanindranath's wash painting is a kind of culmination of these influences.
But wash that 1920s, you know, I'm just curious about, I'm pushing for the date of this Oriental school, you know, I mean, anyway, we can discuss, we can confirm that.
Yeah, dates I wouldn't confirm, I mean, I get...
No, the period was definitely there. What's very interesting,
Yeah.
I want to just make a note of it, that this mention of Oriental school, when we read it here and there in books, and here and there in artworks, but another period of history that's gone, forgotten,
Yeah.
misplaced, missing.
That's another problem. Mind it that Bauhaus show was organized primarily by the
1920,
Oriental
that was
schools.
1922. That was 1922,
Yes,
Bauhaus.
that was the time. After Tagore returned from Germany, Walter Gropius? Yes.
Gropius.
Gropius. After meeting him and initiating all those things. Now, the point I'm talking about, it's a kind of ideas are shaping up from different dialoguing. One is the insistence of nationalism created by Vivekananda and Nivedita. Another more open-ended Orientalism created by Swami
Ananda Kumar.
Ananda Kumar Swami and the Okakura and all those visiting scholars. And a lot of Japanese artists visited that time and they worked here. And during my student days, I saw one of the Japanese wash painting, amazing work, amazing on silk.
Where do you see this? This is
In the art college.
In the art
It
college.
was in the Indian art painting department on the wall. That's another thing I will discuss as a sort of footnote, where those works are. Anyway, now this dialogue between Orientalism, nationalism,
leftism.
all these things, what Govindranath was outside that thing, or Rabindranath was also outside the thing, mainly Abanindranath, and when he opened his Oriental school, and he brought Nandalal, he was the first teacher there, and from there again Rabindranath took him to Shantiniketan when they started Kolabhavan. But then Nandalal followed Abanindranath's idea of Bengal school, Orientalism, something Asian, something like that. Now, this became a stamp in Shantiniketan. But Rabindranath, well, I must say, it's a very incredible person, living within the thick of that kind of ideologies, different and all that. He gradually dissociated himself into his own world, and what he created is an amazing synthesis of what should I say, not Orientalism, not Indianism, not European, not folk.
Something is individual.
He took, like in his music, if you look at his music, he took from everything. He took from Islamic music, Carnatic music, European music. I mean, he's free like demon. He's dashing everywhere. So in his art also, he took from anywhere, and this poetic imageries he created.
From anywhere and nowhere eventually.
No, it's a thing, synthesis. It's a treatment because he moved around the world and he saw most of the famous armory show, the first armory show, he was there, present. He saw it. And when American groups, American public, they were laughing at armory show, this, my daughter can paint better than this, when they saw the Paris modernism. Now, whatever it is,
Who said my daughter can play?
It's a general statement that my child can do better than this.
that was it came in the
No, but who said it?
the critic.
The critics.
Critics.
When they saw Tagore's work.
No, not Tagore. I mean,
The
armory show.
armory show. Okay.
First
fair enough.
armory show.
I understand.
With the records of those, the criticisms and all those things like that. So, whatever it is, Tagore didn't criticize armory show in his writings. Tagore didn't criticize any of the European movements or anything.
He didn't write anything also.
He did write.
Where?
He wrote lots of letters to Rathin Maitra.
Oh, letters.
Lots of letters, and in some of his
Books, I don't think so.
Yeah, there is a compilation of a book has come, compilation of his Shilpo Chinta, Rabindranath Shilpo Chinta.
Rabindranath Shilpo Chinta.
It's a compilation, and he's writing to Abanindranath Tagore, and then he's writing his own diary like things. You see, when Vivekananda, Nivedita, they were criticizing Ravi Verma as a slave of European art, a gimmick, and all those things. Rabindranath is writing a letter to Abanindranath. No, not Abanindranath, somebody away, and he's writing that the whole afternoon I'm sitting and watching one of Ravi Verma's paintings. What an amazing skill, what an amazing works the whole canvas doing, and he's enjoying looking at it.
So, there must have been phases. So
Phases I'm talking, I'm
coming.
sorry, I'm coming back because I will forget the chain. This period, the pre-phase of Calcutta Group, lots of conversation, dialoguing, ideas shaping up, and influences and all that. At the same time, you have to accept that ideas coming from European judgment was sacrosanct. Indians promptly accepted it, but at the same time, self-dialoguing has also started, like Tagore and Abanindranath. Shergill didn't accept Abanindranath's works. She criticized. So, criticism was also
How do you place Shergill versus Atul Bose? Because they were both artists at the same time.
Shergill was much
Shergill was
much
only
more of a
young.
painter. Atul Bose was a craftsman, if you ask me.
Shergill is much younger
He
also.
was a portraitist. I mean, he was a portrait painter, but he didn't paint something of ideas. What we call a painting, which reflects his ideology, his style, or this sort of thing. But he was a master portrait painter. Ravi Verma also started like that as a portrait painter, but then he shifted to Ramayana, Mahabharata, all those things that oleographs came up and all sort of things, that sort of thing. He shifted to that. He introduced his realism and all sort of things. But Atul Bose, I wouldn't consider him a creative artist anyway. He's a skillful man. He's a portrait painter. That's all. And Shergill was a genuine artist.
Can I interrupt you? So, couple of things. There are artworks by Atul Bose, for example. One of them is titled grandma.
Whose artwork?
Atul Bose. And it's not a portrait of his grandmother by any means. It's a visualization of what you thought a grandmother would look like, the empathy that what a grandmother would have, and it is entirely done in monochrome, which goes to his prowess as a painter. There are nude studies of his done by Atul Bose. There are other studies like laughing, swollen face, of that nature. There's landscape studies. So we could say that there were beginnings of the creative thought that were happening by Atul Bose as well. There are some paintings that are not portraits. There are some paintings that are very different, including the most famous painting of his, portrait of Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee, for which he won the prize to go to Royal Academy.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at that work, you feel this, this piercing eyes. I mean, it wasn't a portrait. It was like the guy sitting next to you with his.
Impressionistic portrait.
I won't call it impressionistic. I would call it it's a powerful. I mean, he was able to get he got the empathy for the grandmother, and he got the power of the personality in the portrait. So he was very good at that.
Okay, I accept that within his own personal.
But secondly, what I was going to say,
he achieved very high because incidentally, in art college, along the corridor, the walls were filled up with European paintings, drawings, Rembrandt's drawing, etchings, and all those things, all those very good prints, fantastic. I don't know who collected it, but all through the years is the same color, didn't fused and all that. Now, for the 5 years, we all students used to think there was a small drawing that this is Rembrandt's etching. And suddenly we came to know that's Atul Bose's drawing. We were damn surprised, okay? I had a chance of meeting Atul Bose. It's okay, it's still there. When I got award in the Academy of Fine Arts, that was Atul Bose Award. So, giving me the award, Atul Bose, just on the stage, he told me, look, I gave you the award seeing 3 works. So I don't know. I would like to see more works. So you meet me with some of your works. So I was very young. I was a 3rd year student that time. Me, Sunil Das and Jogen, we got the award on the same year. So later I took some of my works. I went to see Atul Bose in his house, and that time he was doing Ramon Roy's portrait. You know what? Of all the works, he suddenly focused on one litho prints of mine, which is a study of a fakir, And then he said, yes, you saw the light. The fakir eyes, is a slight light. And once you put the light, so the eyes go backwards, and this dimension comes. And he was excited, and he was like, yes, you saw it. Okay. It's good I gave you the prize. So I was laughing, and later when I came out from art college, I tore off that lithograph.
why did you?
That is study. That's learning how the human body, the light and shade.
You kept it for
and
history,
these. I didn't care. Maybe somewhere in somebody's house is there, because there were lots of copies, litho prints. And I got award in the same fakir. Another oil painting, I got one annual award in the art college. That too I threw away. See, so when I'm saying Atul Bose, I wouldn't consider him as an artist. It's my limited frame of experiencing art.
No, that's fine.
It's okay.
What I was
It's
gonna
not theoretical.
I understood. What the second thing I was going to say about Atul Bose is that, and we are digressing, by the way, Romain is going to get
We
upset.
have
We're
been
not talking about
digressing, yes.
Rathin Maitra. But having said that, this leads up to Rathin Maitra. Atul Bose also wrote the manifesto for what this group is called Art Rebel Group, where he said, let's not do Bengal school, let's make non-sentimental art.
That was Hemen Majumdar and all that. They were the realist group.
Right.
Really European realism they wanted to follow. Jamini Roy wasn't in that, but they used to go. This happened in Hemen Majumdar's house, and
Yeah, Hemen Majumdar, Jamini Roy, and a couple of other painters were the famous portrait.
J.P. Ganguly.
J.P. Ganguly, I would call him a portrait paint, but Jamini Roy certainly, Hemen Majumdar, and I think there were a couple of others. They wanted to be, they were part of this Victorian portrait group. You know, I mean, I think Seal was one of
Very
them.
interesting. No, listen, Jamini Roy. It's a very mysterious character. He didn't belong to any of them. He tried European style of painting, sometimes Van Gogh, sometimes realism and these things. But he was not satisfied. He was not in that. And finally, he was inspired with the folk trends and all that. Now, when this thing is going on in Hemen Majumdar's house, this dialoguing of strong European art, and they were quite efficient. There are some groups, other names are there, we can find it. And Atul Bose was also there. But then Jamini Roy used to visit them, but he didn't subscribe to their methods of art. I mean, look at it, because Hemen Majumdar, those semi-nude bodies, the wet cloth and all that, the skill he created, still it was artistic, wonderful, but then it is European language. Now, you have to understand this new group, Calcutta Group, they were not talking about copying European art. They were not producing art that belongs to European trend. No. They were inspired with the freedom of language, freedom of expressions, the freedom of lines, paints, colors. And then you also have to count that in 40s and those periods, we didn't have any art material. We were buying Winsor Newton color, brushes, the same materials that Europe was using, the same materials they were using in Bombay and all that. Art schools were, even we didn't have any other materials, only the Winsor Newton and all that. And it was very expensive. So, using the same material also has a kind of influence. Whereas you look at Tagore's technique, Rabindranath or Abanindranath. Now Abanindranath also used the European materials, Winsor Newton watercolor, Kent paper, Whitman paper and all that. Whitman paper and all that for wash paintings. There was no Indian paper. Same brush, same was. But Abanindranath didn't try, I don't remember if he tried in the silk, like the Japanese silk paintings. I don't think so. But he did improvise the Japanese wash painting with his own process. You know what he did? We were taught, I think I will show you one work so that you will understand my explanation. Sorry, this will give lot of information about
About?
early period.
Okay.
Can I call you for a glass of water?
Yeah, that bottle is there.
কটা বাজে দেখো তো?
ফোন তো এখানে।
আচ্ছা অমিতাভ আসুক। দেখো ওই মেয়েটিকে আসতে বলেছো, তোমার কিন্তু
চা খেতে বলেছি বসে, কি প্রবলেম কি হচ্ছে?
ওকে বলেছো চা খেতে? বলে দিয়েছো আবার?
This is my work in the second year, when I was in the second year. Now,
এটাকে ক্যামেরায় দেখো, আরো কাছে কাছে নিয়ে যাও।
okay, have this drink.
Thank you.
It's a coconut drink. And,
Which year was this?
Second year.
Second year.
I will explain where he.
Is it tempera or
this is Abanindranath's technique.
No, is it watercolor or tempera?
Watercolor.
Watercolor.
And same Winsor Newton. Sorry, have you opened it? Yeah.
Thank you.
open.
Thank you.
Now, what Abanindranath did, since wash painting Japanese did on the silk or on Japanese paper. Japanese paper is something like what I am doing now in a different way. It's very thin. This is Japanese paper. It's in roll and they paste it on cloth.
Okay. So why you paste the Japanese paper on cloth? I mean this.
This is
It's very thin.
because you see, first this is a very thin. Independently, you cannot keep and work because
So it's usually
you have to do a single stroke color scent. So
What are the medium you can use on it?
watercolor. They
only.
have the watercolor, and Japanese watercolor is very different. It comes from pigments, and it's not European. And they have ink, very limited colors. Now they mount it on a cloth, and they work. The gold and these that sort of, and it's a direct work. That is transparent. That's why it's called wash painting. Now, what Abanindranath did, he worked with transparent Winsor Newton tube watercolor, thick. After drawing, and he will lay the colors thick, and then under the water, he will wash it. So what happens before it's very much dry? I mean semi-dry. So what happens? These colors flow and merge, and then again, when it is wet, he puts a cloth underneath, over it. The paper is always wet. I mean soaked little. It's not wet. I mean it's damp. Then again he paints. Again he washes like this. And in the same technique, this was done in the class, second year. And it's a contribution of Maniklan, Rathin Maitra, and all this. Now, this is how we were.
Baba didn't do this kind of work, did he?
He didn't, but he taught us, he told us.
Yeah, okay, great.
Now, what I am trying to say, when we say Abanindranath took wash painting from Japan and all that, these are very shallow comments. It's not technical. When you say he took the idea of Orientalism, it's a shallow comment. It's not the same. There's a lots of mixtures, and its own. He was an extremely intelligent cultural person,
Oh, yes.
and he had a
Tremendous
thorough
writer.
knowledge of Sanskrit. He translated that
One of the beginners of Bengali
Shorango
prose.
and all those.
Translated to?
Shilpo Shastra
Okay.
and all that, Shorango and all those things. Then the iconography of Indian sculptures and all these things. Now he also translated, not translated, he compiled Abanindranath, the
Maheshwari.
the rituals of Bengal, the traditional rituals of Bengal and from the rituals and all those things, I mean, he studied. And you will be surprised, he also wrote on the rivers, and I mean, his interest, how
Like
rivers,
Leonardo da Vinci.
I mean, how rivers affecting.
Oh, rivers. I thought he wrote in rivers. Achha.
No.
Wrote on rivers, on Nodi.
Yeah, and how it's affecting, shifting villages, these, that, life, and all sort of things. Whatever. And all these things were published from Calcutta University under Ashutosh Mukherjee when he was there. Ashutosh Mukherjee's contribution was another chapter nobody talks about. He's the person brought Abanindranath for Bageshwari lectures. He's the person who brought Stella Cambridge from Shantiniketan to Calcutta University and created the real art history department. Now, the thing is, when we are writing, the Calcutta groups took to the language of Paris School. It's a very gross statement. They did saw an opening, another horizon, but at the same time, I feel that they did not do justice to Abanindranath, or they didn't look at Rabindranath also. And when I was student in art college, Rathin Maitra, Gopal Ghosh, Chintamani Kaur, they are all the modernist group, and amazingly there were no dialoguing with the Shantiniketan because Nandalal was very much there, active. Even Jamini Roy was alive, and they were not asked to come. Ram Kinkar was there. He was holding a show in the artistry house, and they were never invited to give a talk or exchange ideas. With
Why
the
do
students.
you think is the case?
They were
Is
more
it-
influenced by Paris.
No,
Ego, some kind of a.
not really. See, who will be invited to art college to speak about or interact with the students? This was primarily decided by the principal, and amazingly, principal was
Well,
so
I mean,
autocratic.
So UCO also very UK centered.
There was a lot of ego clash with the Chintamani Kaur and the rest. Chintamani Kaur didn't give respect to anybody. Now, Chintamani Kaur was always attached to American, European, because that time USI's library was very active. They were having shows of American artists, and whenever there is an American artist, Chintamani will bring them to art college to give slide talks and all that. So we used to see American movements, American art and all that, but we never saw Nandalal's real work or his talk
Or Ram Kinkar.
Ram Kinkar or Jamini Roy. And frankly, I I didn't know Jamini Roy was alive. I mean, I thought Jamini Roy is history. I mean, once upon a time.
Jamini passed 72,
Yeah.
so
He was
and he was painting till the end.
till the end, and he had museum in his house.
That's right.
I didn't know when I graduated. One of my friends, a good friend of mine, I just met him and he told me that I'm just coming from Jamini Roy's house. When Jamini Roy, what was it? Yeah, today is his birthday and his museum is open for public. I said, what? And unfortunately, within few days, I had to go to Delhi. My life was a different episode. I left Calcutta in '63,
So in that context, how do you rate Rathin Maitra's paintings?
listen. Here I'm coming to this. Rathin Maitra didn't have the skill of Atul Bose or Husain Majumdar. He didn't need it. He didn't need it. He was a man of ideas. He wanted to express ideas and he created his forms, whatever he needed, like Tagore. Tagore didn't need to have studies like Abanindranath and Husain Majumdar and all that. He created his own language and his limitations, and he thought that this is enough for my expression. This is my language. Same thing with Rathin Maitra. Now,
Who are you talking about before?
before means
Before Rathin Maitra, the same thing with Rathin Maitra you said, but before that, who were you talking about? I thought you were talking about.
Tagore. I mean,
Oh,
I'm talking,
Tagore and
yes,
Rathin Maitra. Okay,
I'm
right,
talking
right.
about
Sure.
the need of language. Now, when I'm say when I have to write my diary, my daily events and all that, I don't have to learn Mahabharata or Ramayana.
That's right.
I just write my life. I mean, same thing with the folk artists and similar things. So the
The only difference is that Rathin Maitra was a very skilled. I mean, he was also a kind of master. You know, he did studies, etude.
they all did it during their early periods.
But he
Mind you,
continued till the Academy of Fine Arts days.
because he was showing works to this. There was an art sketch club in the Academy of Fine Arts. Lady Ragnu Mukherjee asked Rathin Maitra, Gopal Ghosh, and organized one sketch club for the amateurs. You know, so sometimes we'll be showing and all that, but Rathin Maitra, I don't know whether you have seen those works. He had another kind of drawing trend that is quick, single line sort of things, not those shading
Right.
and sketches. Single line, bold, like this. He used to show us, and he emphasized that the meaning of line and the form that is expressing everything. So why you need the tone? Why you need the textures?
The
and all
line is
that.
self-sufficient itself. Yeah.
It can be done like that. Again, you can also do with the tones and volumes and showing all the details of reality. So my point is this version of influence, we create it in a black and white.
It's not true. Rathin Maitra was a thinking artist, is what you're saying.
He
had his
was
own
an
thoughts.
emotional man. He was very much attached to drama in art college. He supervised our plays,
Till the end of his life, actually.
and he created fabulous actors in the art college who eventually became
Joshan Dostidar.
Joshan Dostidar, Milon Mukherjee. I mean, in my time, and Alaka, who married Basantu Ganguly. She was very good actress, and all this, and he was a very humorous person, and
A sitar player.
that part we didn't know, etc. And these are the
Did you ever attend any of his exhibitions at the Academy? I guess he has his works at the Academy every year. He must have seen it there.
no.
Primarily, they were at the
He-
Academy in Calcutta.
He didn't have a solo show during my period. He used to give a single painting during the annual shows. Most of them.
That is one time a year.
Yeah, that was mostly
In December.
annual show, one
December,
once a time.
every year,
I mean,
December.
that's how we used to see the artists' works and all.
Interestingly, clearly, one of his solo shows must have been very important. September 1947, Bombay Art Society in
They invited 1 month after the Indian independence.
Indian independence. Bombay Art Society invited him to a solo show. So he was one of the first modernists, if you may, who did a show in
See,
Bombay.
we don't have any record of
No,
that.
we have complete report of that.
I
We
have
have
record
the
of that.
catalogs and everything. So a lot of that's what we're doing. We're rediscovering a lot of history. But interestingly enough, these solo shows that Rathin Maitra did and possibly what also Gopal Ghosh did irked Pradosh Dasgupta, who said that look, these are all solo shows with no connection with Calcutta Group. So that's what led to these guys leaving the Calcutta Group, and then.
Yeah, I mean, he's a strange character, you know, Pradosh Dasgupta. I'm sorry. I mean, you know, it's kind of...
No, again, I will. I was thinking
Sorry.
that was halfway I told.
About his style, about my father's painting.
No. That that's an important point.
What do you think is his
Wait.
contribution?
Just vanished.
We can remember later, maybe. I mean, it always comes. You can also call me and tell me. It will come back later. Maybe about.
What we can do, Romain, is we are compiling a list.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Come on.
The process of dialoguing, social dialoguing, which was developing and influencing artists in a very different manners. As I said, that those Hindu, Muslim, and all those aristocrat Indians who were studying in London and watching and all those modernism and all that, and when they came back, they created a socialist trend of literature, poets, groups, theatre, and all that. Mind it influenced Rathin Maitra. Rathin Maitra, at one stage, he became member of some
Modern society.
leftist socialist group of poets. There's a name.
I know, yeah.
And
Roy.
Souza was also a member. He was also highly influenced by
Are you
that.
talking about IPTA by any chance?
Huh?
IPTA, Indian People's Theatre
Yes.
Association.
No. I mean, they
They
these
also
are
had
all
another one.
branches.
You see, the best.
These are all branches of those ideas.
Abanindranath Roy has written quite a lot about it. She's an expert on this.
These are the branches of the similar socialist ideas that came from Europe. Now, Souza was also influenced, and one of the reasons Souza was attracted to Calcutta Group, bringing their exhibitions is their Rathin Maitra's affiliation to that. Now, Souza is writing.
আমার সঙ্গে ভীষণ একটা
Now,
relation
Souza
ছিল।
is writing. I saw in a statement somewhere. Souza was very much when the Calcutta Group's show was brought, and since Rathin Maitra was the secretary, he took the show there. Now, when Souza saw Rathin Maitra for the first time, he was shocked. He was thinking of a kind of rugged, casual dressed person and all that. Instead of that, a very handsome, fair, a rich, sort of smelling rich and sort of thing, a person, and how could he be a part of that socialist ideology?
নীল রক্ত লাল হয়ে গেছে syndrome.
And
Where do you read this thing? Where is this reference source? Where did you read this?
This is a very important thing.
I think I have quoted it, and maybe there
In the same book that you're
yeah,
referring to.
yeah. So Souza was shocked. Now, but then again, he had Calcutta. I mean, Bombay Progressive Group. They had tremendous respect for Calcutta Group, and when it was, dispersed, this group, and many of them, they were not very happy because Progressive Group also dispersed.
At the same time.
Almost
53
at
was
the
last
same
one,
time,
yeah.
because they left for Paris,
Yeah, they all
UK, and all that, and and he was already married. He already had children, I think. So his economic state was very low, and I don't think when there was a show and all that he could participate subscriptions and all that.
But Ara was also a driver.
Ara was also, but he
Driver.
was also.
Guys, can we?
Is a kind of patronized. You are patronized. See, if you look at the group photographs, they are always in the background. Souza is in the forefront. I mean, all those things. But the thing is, Satish Gujral came back from Mexico. He didn't want to take position with them. He deferred with the ideology. According to Gujral, he didn't believe in the language as is sort of, the Western language of art and that is a freedom and everything. He didn't believe in that. So there was also, when these European patrons are left, all those journalists and all that, and these people thought also that going to England or Paris is the best thing. Nirad Majumdar went and came back, again went and then came back, and Pradosh Dasgupta didn't settle. He came back. Paritosh Sen, he went and came back. Now, Paritosh Sen, I mean, this within the group, slighting, the status of member was very real, because Gopal Ghosh was very much slighted in the group because he was very silent, he talked less, and
He was
similar
skinny
thing.
also.
He was more vocal.
Abomination.
He was more vocal to differentiate Ash. And then
Well, Ash and Gopal were like almost brothers for the last 20-30 years of the art movement. They were constantly
I
together.
don't know. It happened, and even you see, during the student days, I heard it from Paritosh Sen. Paritosh Sen and Gopal Ghosh or Panikkar, they were students under
Rai Chaudhary Madras, yeah.
Rai Chaudhary in
Madras.
Madras.
And Govardhan Ash as well.
Panikkar was the most vocal. He was almost the leader of the group. He was always highly intellectual, well informed, and all that, always talking and this, that. And Paritosh Sen was very close to Panikkar and all that. And they used to laugh at Gopal Ghosh because who spent more times in the library reading books, going through the books and all that. But he never talked about books. He never discussed whatever. And at one stage they even thought that he is pretending reading the books, which he was not doing actually. So such things, common human factors are all there, and
I want to digress one small bit because you mentioned Panikkar, okay, and we are sitting with a canvas here where you have text in the canvas, which you've done in the past, and you said you use text as form, right? You mentioned that. Panikkar's words and lines are very probably the most famous in that, but when I say most famous, quickly adding is that there are many other examples of it. Even Govardhan Ash, there's a lot of his self-portraits where the background is scribbled in Tamil.
really,
Yeah.
we haven't seen those things. We haven't seen those things.
But and those would have been done in the 30s and the 40s, much before Panikkar. Because Govardhan Ash studied in 1931 and 32 under DP.
It's amazing. I didn't know. I didn't know.
Why? Okay, so I guess next question would be specific to your artwork. What's the relevance of the text? I mean, why? I mean, using form as text is just a statement, but what's beyond that?
Okay. You see, it's a totally different route, nothing to do with Panikkar or anybody. You have to consider, when I was leaving art college, 63, there was no mobile, there is no internet. We didn't know what the artists are doing, except on the annual show, seeing those Sagara, these, that, and those words, Husain. So
You
once,
said Raji Sagara.
once in a year. So it's like going to the amazing world and all those. When I left, and that was a very difficult period in Calcutta, finding a job. And I never liked doing in a school job. And I remember my first interview was a negative situation, because in a very good school I applied and they called me for an interview, and the principal was asking me, looking at your results and all that you have got first class and all that, I don't think you will stay with us. So why should I take you? You give me one reason.
Principal of what? Where?
In a school, in a good school.
Kothai.
Kolkata. That was my first interview.
Okay.
I couldn't give answer. I said, well, I'm looking for a job, that's all I know. And I have cleared my art college. This is my result, that's all I know. So, if you are asking me whether I will stay here all my life, I can't say that. So I didn't get the job. After that, I didn't try anything. I went straight to Delhi. And Delhi, first job I got in the handicrafts board, and that was a wonderful educating period for me.
Sunil Das was already there.
Sunil Das was already there. He joined later in the Weaver Service Center.
Right, okay.
I was in the
Sunil
handicrafts
Das was
board.
Weaver Service Center.
Weaver Service.
No, I just want to digress again. I'm sorry.
Because you took the writing and কথাটা বলছিলেন.
No, what else?
I'm talking about,
Yeah.
that's the writing. Now, I always used to write my diary. That was my habit. Now, when I went to Delhi and I was looking for a job, and my handicrafts board job was also very temporary. It was what they call daily wage basis. It's not a permanent post. So I was not secured, and I was living in Arya Samaj Road and going to Okla and coming back. It was a huge expense. And those days in 60s. But even then, I was painting. I took a servant's quarter and there I put up. And what I was painting, first thing, I hated my education in art college. I have written in my memoir. And I wanted to forget education my system, whole mind. I wanted to leave that European school, Romain, all Paris school, all those insistence of knowledge in the education, and I wanted to forget it. I thought that this is rubbish. And what I did, I collected some leftover boards, these, that, something lying like that, and these, that. I put some paint, which is market paints and all that, and I started writing my diary. I didn't know about Panikkar or anybody.
Writing what?
Diary.
My diary.
Your diary.
I'm looking for job. There is a job post, and I went there. My route. I'm taking a bus. These route. So lines and write, but those are readable writings. Sometimes in Bengali, sometimes in English. So those were readable, and sometimes some of my favorite poems I was writing on the whole canvas. Shukanto's poem I wrote. Now, in one of my shows, my first show in IFAX, Charles Fabry was the art critic those days, and he wrote that Amitabh is making fun of art. And at the same time, Jyotirindra Moitra, so Rathin Maitra's brother, he was the secretary in the Sahitya Kala Academy, and he came to visit my show. And when he saw those things, and he didn't know me, so he inquired, who is the artist? I said, and then he just grabbed me. How did you think of writing Sukanto? I said, I like it.
That's so typical of him.
And he said that I was, I said, see, again, these are different kind of association. Because Jyotirindra Moitra was a friend of Sukanto. They knew each other, they were in the communist movement and all those things. So they had their own life, friendship. So when he saw Sukanto's writing on a canvas, giving such a status by an artist, and he grabbed me like that, from that kind of thing. So this is one thing. And then another person came, that was Bimal Das Gupta. He asked me, have you heard of Panikkar? I said, I heard, but I haven't seen his works. Well, you should see Panikkar's works. Then I said, I was thinking where to see his works. So it so happened, next year in the national exhibition, Panikkar's scripts came. Those huge board works. When I saw it, the two things came into my mind. He has created a path, and maybe I'm just shuffling through the jungle, but now I see the path. So he gave me a kind of confidence, but I didn't want to become Panikkar. So I went on writing. Next year I got French government scholarship in '66.
That's what I asked you. In '66, Banu Athaya also won what's called the ASTEF scholarship.
What is this?
Yeah, there's a full form that
I got French government scholarship.
It's a French government scholarship. The ASTEF full form is I'm not sure what it is. It's a grant for artists and technicians.
It's not a grant. It's full scholarship. 3 years. 1 year, then it can be extended.
This is a 1 year scholarship. So
Yeah, it's all scholarships are 1 year or 7 months.
it was called ASTEF scholarship, but nobody seems to, even the French council doesn't seem to know anything about it. But anyway.
Anyway, I don't
Go
know.
ahead.
Which
but
year
why-
was
why
it?
are you saying
Which year?
this?
Because he will have that in the same year, 1966.
66.
So,
Okay. Many names are forgotten.
please carry on.
So, when I went to Paris, I discovered paper, I discovered color, gouache, then tempera, ready-made tempera, refined pigments, and I merged into the paper, different grades of paper I started doing, because I wanted to keep the paper surface, so my works became transparent watercolors with lines, and I started, this time my writing became short, a word with script, but it's Bengali. So this is how line, tone and words, some statements.
Swaminathan also had the same.
Much later.
Much later.
And you know what? In the École Beaux-Arts, in the annual assessment, I was the topper. And I was given the solo show. And during my solo show, my professor came. Then he was telling me, you know what, we liked your works. It's very interesting. I said, why did you like? He said, we liked because this has a smell of Oriental, Indian. I was not at all thinking of being Oriental or Indian. That was not in me. I was searching myself, my expressions. For the first time, it struck me, I was 26. And for the first time it struck me, do I have to be Oriental because I am coming from India? Do I have to be this? This is the first, dilemma.
This is also the problem actually.
Dilemma started in me, and I didn't talk much with him, and it became a consistent question, and again it went back into my diary, and I started, introspecting in my diaries and all that, and but I went on with the script, all those things. All through my Paris period, it entered into paintings and paintings, large works. I did it, almost 4 by 6. I will finish in one sitting.
Here I have an important question. When you said you are writing, is the script decipherable
Yes,
or non-decipherable?
No, it's readable.
Because this is non-decipherable.
I'm coming.
So please make that distinction.
No. I'm coming to that point.
Yeah.
Those days, as I said earlier, Delhi period or Paris period, writing was readable things. You could read it if you know Bengali, but then it switched over to English also, because in Paris I'm seeing lots of things, lot of songs, lines and things are influencing me. Lot of dialogues with my friends.
Arpita Singh also does that.
And when I went to London, in the Soho, there's a underground group and all those things. That influenced me, and what we were talking, those ideas, it came into my paintings. And lines and quick work, because writing is very fast. Now, those were my Paris period. Then, when I came back to India, next 6-7 years was disastrous. I didn't have job, going here, there, so small room, so there was no painting. There was only drawing, and those drawings are very different. The torture faces, these, that, all sort of things. Self-portrait, all over, worms, flies, that sort of things. So, my point is, when you are writing history, there is something called individual world, inner world, very personal. We will never discover about Rathin Maitra.
I have a favor to ask of you. One of the reasons why it is sometimes difficult to talk about Rathin Maitra is that, as you said, while there were solo shows, of course important solo shows as in Bombay, but it was that one canvas at the Academy which was his, a main work in a year. We are working to collate as many of these images as possible, It's only when you see the depth of his works and how he changed every few periods that you realize that he was a thinking man, as you said. He was creative. What I'm thinking of doing after this interview is making that list of images, or creating that list of images, sharing that with you, year-wise or something like that. It may take us a week to do that. We would love a write-up about what you may think on his art, because it will be a very unique thing, because to having seen his 60 years of art production, which could be one canvas a year, other than for some of his solo shows, very few people would have seen that. Only when you see his entire production, I think that you can get an idea of how much depth and creativity the person had. But we would love for you to comment on it as an art critic, as a
Why
student.
don't you write an article?
So that's what I'm
Just
saying.
write an article.
I said it, but with the background that we will give you the artworks, images, sometimes maybe in black and white if we don't have the artwork, and sometimes
We don't have the color.
we don't have the color for all.
And there are innumerable sketches.
Yeah.
সেটা আমি তোমাকে পাঠিয়ে দেবো।
Sketches.
Sketches are
Innumerable.
sketches
Innumerable.
So we will try and create a document, send it over to you. It's only, I realize only when you
Sketches
see,
on it, full-length drawings have been.
only when you see
Not sketches
the
alone.
entire, what he did in his 50, 60 years, you'll understand.
That's a difference. Our writers, quite often they do mistakes. Sketch and drawing. Drawing is a complete art form.
Sure.
It's right. Sketch is a quick notations of something to be used later. That's the idea. And the French call it étude.
Etude.
But the point is, these sketches could be so well done. Nowadays, in the modern situation, this is taken as another art form. This is accepted as art form, complete art form. It was not before. That's why the Leonardo da Vinci's diaries pages are becoming so important. So Rathin Maitra, in my general view, he was more of an emotional. He didn't need those kind of realism studies and all those gadgets. But if you one painting which we were very
He has done portraits.
though that is
He has done everything. আমি তুমি মনে রাখো কি বলছো, আমি
No,
একটা
no.
কথা বলছি।
No, no,
আমি একটা bracket করব।
no, I'm tracking you. As an artist, as a professional artist, you have to do at different occasions different kind of things. I was asking in recent times, I cannot think myself doing a realistic portrait, but that I did in North Bengal. Now that's a different thing. Some situation, some occasion, something that.
One question I want to ask you is, for 11 years in Nigeria, of course, the whole Cubist movement, they say, starts with African masks and all of that. But I mean, did that have any role play in your art?
Absolutely. It gave me the present concept of symbolism, but I didn't got into European Cubism, but the symbol, science, and the folk.
But also kind of re-questioning the kind of aesthetics, the African art is so brutish in many ways. I'm talking about the primitive. It's brute, art brute in many ways, Although it may not be a kind of facile art brute in the French school sense. But what I want to say is the aesthetic notion as an Indian artist coming from, having influence in Bengal school and all that, and then going to Africa, which is completely different with Kori, এখানে এরকম ভাবে মানুষের মুখ গাঁথা রয়েছে, বর্ষা, অমুক তমুক, টোটেম, ফুল, এটসেট্রা এটসেট্রা। মানে ইস্থেটিকের ইয়েটা কিরকম, একটা ফাউন্ডেশন ভিতটা কি একটু নড়ে যায়?
No. You are doing a big mistake.
না, আমি শুধু
Because
জিজ্ঞেস করছি, আমি তোমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করছি। I'm not making any mistake. I'm just asking.
African art is thoroughly, when we say Paris school, it's a kind of outcome of African art. Brancusi is a photocopy of African
আমি ওকে
head.
প্যারিস স্কুল বলেছি, আমি কিন্তু সেই অর্থে বলি
No,
না,
no,
আমি বলেছি
no,
আর্ট
no,
রুট।
no, no. That is the word coined by the Paris school, the art critics, writers. Now they term primitive art, African art. So many words.
I'll share something quickly with you. You know, at one point in time, and this is conversation 7 years ago from an important art critic, they were calling everything prior to the Bombay Progressives as pre-moderns. It's exactly the kind of same nonsensical.
It's a now the thing is, the modern version of African art has been well analyzed in Paris, Europe, and Brancusi, Picasso, these, that. I mean, they exploded thoroughly. Writers. You look at Andre Monroe's writings, and forget about all those. Then the primitivism, bole. Okay, I have that book, but I don't know where. Primitivism. One art writer recently published, not recently, it's quite some time. He said, what is European modernism? It is the borrowing from African whole structure. Now, when I went to Africa and seeing those things, it was not foreign to me. I am already understanding what Picasso did, what Brancusi did. I'm seeing in the same, because my eyes are already structured in that ideas. But what I discovered, the environment, when you see that form in the village ritual, how it is actually performed and how it is used and how it is structured, that's a different story. That has nothing to do with Europe. But again, European scholars did all kinds of studies, even this, because I discovered it much later that what I am seeing, this is also thoroughly scientifically discussed in the sociology paper, in these, that, all sort of things. The meaning of creativity, meaning of primitivism, meaning of primordial art, and all those things.
আমার মাথায় একটা দুষ্টু বুদ্ধি এসেছিল, সেটা হচ্ছে অমন ঠাকুরকে, হেমেন মজুমদারকে, খিতীন্দ্রনাথ মজুমদারকে যদি স্ট্রেট আফ্রিকায় পাঠানো যায়, তারা কিচ্ছুই জানেন না ইউরোপিয়ান আর্ট সম্বন্ধে, তারা কি করবেন? তারা 10 বছর ওখানে কাটালেন, তারপর তারা কলকাতায় ফিরে এলেন, তারা কী ধরনের ছবি আঁকবেন? আমি তোমাকে যখন কথাটা বলেছিলাম, আমি কিন্তু ইউরোপের কথা একবারও ভাবিনি। আমি আর্ট গ্রুপটা ব্যবহার করেছিলাম সেই পার্টিকুলার পেইন্টার সম্পর্কে, তার নামটা আমার এখন মনে পড়ছে না, যিনি একমাত্র প্রতিভু আর্ট গ্রুপের। তার সঙ্গে মানে ইনফ্লুয়েন্স অফ আফ্রিকান আর্ট অন ইউরোপিয়ান পেইন্টার্স আমি সে অর্থে বলিনি। তুমি তো ইউরোপিয়ান পেইন্টার নও, তুমি তো একজন ইন্ডিয়ান পেইন্টার, এবং তোমার একটা ট্রেডিশন আলাদা আছে। তুমি যখন ওখানে গেলে সেই অর্থে বললাম, আমি আর্ট গ্রুপ না বলে ব্রুটিশ বলা, সেই অর্থে বলছি।
The word has a sort of meaning. There is a kind of because you see, try to understand the folk art. I use the word folk art, whether it's African or Indian or anything. I mean, Europe doesn't have folk art now, but there is a common element. They first thing, they are not conscious that they are creating art, shilpo. No. There is a social purpose, social emotion, religious, tribal, ritual, all these things. Because, say, the man who will be carving the mask, before the ritual, he will go into the forest with a machete. They have only one instrument, that's all. And for 15 days, he will be in the forest. Nobody can visit him, nobody can see him, and nobody, I mean, it's a taboo that nobody should see. If somebody sees, I mean, he will be killed by the villagers. Now he goes into the forest, he selects a tree, right part and all that, he takes it, cuts it, but he survives in the village. He eats all those things, he hunts and survives for 15 days. And he comes back with that carving, with the painting is also done in the village later. Carving is done in the forest. Now it is brought in and then they paint it, then they may put things, they put straw on the head and all sort of, they create the masquerade form, and the masquerader is a different group, not the carver. So masquerader will be wearing it, and when the masquerader is wearing this mask, he should, and naturally he assumes the role of that spirit, and within that spirit he will be dancing things, and if somebody comes on the way, he may be killed also.
Like Teyyam in Kerala.
Yeah, and he may be. So, in the primitive psyche, the primordial trains, there is one aspect is the social correlation. Another aspect is the individual concentration, the merging the mind into that belief system, then creating the form essentially to express, not elaborate. The other decorations come with a purpose. So there is a simplification, there is an exaggeration. You look at the mother goddess form, it's not beautiful. Some of the huge pot belly and all those things, and it can be ugly, it can be very sexy and all sort of things. Now, the purpose, the emotion, that is the factor. Now, here, the content influences the form, and there is a incredible correlation with the content and the form. And in modernism, there is a lot of concentration with the material, with the form, its technology and all sort of things. So, and the contemporary artist is not associated with the social psyche or faith or it. He is an individual. He may not believe all those things. So he is expressing only for himself, his own ideas, own emotions. There's a lot of difference. Now, in my opinion, Rathin Maitra belongs to that contemporary group. He is concerned with his emotions, not drawing intricacies and studies and all those things he has done as a practice, like bodybuilding, all those preliminary exercise one has to do before you become a sportsman. So these are necessary things we all have done. We all have done. It's a part of educational system, but this is not in the folk art. This is not in the folk art.
And also the strong kind of biographical background that he had in his Patna, the way he grew up in Patna.
He was also
River,
he was also because Souza was shocked to know that Rathin Maitra was also a hunter.
He was also a hunter, yes.
I mean,
all these references are in this book that you're referring to.
It is very important.
It's
It's more like
the book you're talking about, right? It's all referred to in the book, right?
I don't know whether I have written that.
No, but
Who's the reference source for this?
My memory is fused. Some of my readings, or actually I have put it in my book or not, so it's getting merged. You can load my history of modernism. No, this is more in my memoir from the internet, because I don't have many copies of that. And then
This is the memoir. It's on the internet where it's on
maybe Amazon.
Amazon. Okay.
All those things are. And then history of modernism. There is a chapter on art, contemporary art. These things are there.
Yeah, but this memoir is.
Memoir, I have talked about the groups, yes. Calcutta Group is.
So this is memoir of Amitabh Sengupta